Life is not a continuous celebration. Life is a battlefield, a relentless war against mediocrity and excuses. The question you need to ask yourself today is simple. What is the secret ingredient that separates the winners from the dreamers? It's not talent, it's not luck, and it's not even intelligence. It's discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous, and it isn't something that brings instant comfort or joy. No, discipline is that inner grit that pushes you beyond your limits when everything else around you tells you to stop. It's a deep trench where you meet your fears, your doubts, your excuses, and decide in that moment whether you will control your destiny or allow life to dictate your future. How many times have you looked in the mirror and whispered, I could do more? How many times have you felt that spark of change but let it die because the comfort of your current reality was easier? That comfort is your enemy. It chains you, holding you back from unleashing the power inside you. But now is the time to break free. True discipline, my friends, is not for the faint of heart. It belongs to those who rise when others sleep, who seek solutions where others find excuses. Life will not wait for you. It doesn't slow down or adjust to your comfort zone. No, those who succeed aren't always the most gifted, but they are always the most disciplined. They are the ones who keep moving forward, regardless of how they feel. You see, discipline is like a muscle. It doesn't grow on its own. You have to work it. You have to challenge it. Day by day, decision by decision. It's not about doing what feels good in the moment. It's about doing what needs to be done for your future. We're not here for momentary pleasure. No, we are here to achieve eternal greatness. And that path is not easy. There are no shortcuts, no magic tricks. The path to success is paved with discipline and discomfort. But here's the truth. The more you embrace that discomfort, the stronger you become. Every day you choose the hard path. You train your mind and body to endure, to persevere, to conquer. Discipline becomes your weapon, your shield, and your guide. Let me ask you, are you tired today? Are you discouraged? Do your muscles ache and your mind tell you to quit? Welcome to the reality of champions. Because champions, the real winners in life, do not stop when they're tired. They act despite their exhaustion. They move forward even when every fiber in their body screams for them to stop. Discipline is not an option, it is a necessity. There are no shortcuts in this climb to success. Picture your dreams as majestic mountains waiting to be conquered. How will you reach the summit? Through determination, focus, and discipline. Nobody will carry you to the top. It is your strength, your discipline, that will take you to the peak. We often look for quick fixes, but the reality is success is earned through consistent hard work. The easy path is actually the hardest one because it delays progress and postpones the victory. Stop blaming the world for your circumstances. Don't look to others to change your life. You are the architect of your own destiny. Choose responsibility. Choose discipline. Choose the road less traveled. Every freedom you desire in life has a cost, and that cost is discipline. You want freedom from failure? Pay the price with discipline. You want freedom from mediocrity? Discipline is the root from which all good things grow. You must apply it in every area of your life, not just getting up early, but in your habits, your goals, your relationships, and your commitments. Being disciplined is not just about self-control, it's about true freedom. Because when you master discipline, nothing controls you. Not fear, not temptation, not even failure. I have met many successful people in my life, and let me tell you this, none of them reach the top by accident. They are organized, they are punctual, they keep their word, they are disciplined. Every day they train their minds and bodies to perform at their peak. So if you want success, embrace discipline as your daily companion. Create efficient days, follow your plan, and make no excuses. It's not just about doing what's necessary today, it's about facing the fears that hold you back and conquering them with relentless discipline. Let's rise, let's act, and let's conquer. Success is not waiting for someone else to carry you. You are the warrior. You are the one with the power to change everything. Unleash your inner strength. Discipline your mind. And take the victory that is already yours for the taking. What is the one thing that stands between you and your dreams? What is the barrier that separates you from the life you have always imagined? Is it lack of opportunity? Is it the absence of resources? could it be? You see, the greatest obstacle we face in life is not external. It's not the economy, it's not our background, and it's certainly not other people. The greatest obstacle we face is internal. It's the battle within ourselves. And the weapon we need to win this battle is discipline. Discipline is not about punishing yourself. It's not about denying yourself pleasure. No, discipline is about aligning yourself with your purpose. It's about bringing every aspect of your life into harmony with your divine calling. When you embrace discipline, you're not restricting yourself, you're freeing yourself to become who you were always meant to be. When God created you, He had a specific purpose in mind. You are not an accident. You are not a cosmic coincidence. You are a deliberate, intentional creation of the Almighty God. And with that creation comes a responsibility to become all that He designed you to be. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're destined to be. It's the daily decision to choose growth over comfort, progress over stagnation, and purpose over pleasure. Let me give you an example. Imagine a seed. This seed has within it the potential to become a mighty oak tree. But that potential means nothing if the seed is not planted, if it's not nurtured, if it's not disciplined to grow according to its nature. The seed must break open. It must push through the soil. It must reach towards the sun, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's difficult. You are like that seed. You have greatness within you. You have a divine purpose coded into your very DNA. But that greatness, that purpose will remain dormant unless you discipline yourself to grow, to change, to become. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but Dr. Munroe, you don't understand. My circumstances are different. I don't have the opportunities others have. I don't have the resources. Let me stop you right there. Your circumstances do not define you. Your resources do not determine your destiny. Your discipline does. Consider for a moment the life of Jesus Christ. Here was a man born in a manger, raised in obscurity with no formal education or societal advantages. Yet, through discipline in prayer, discipline in study, discipline in obedience to his father's will, he changed the course of human history. Or think about Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Did he allow his circumstances to define him? Did he use his situation as an excuse to give up on his dreams? No. He disciplined himself to excellence, to integrity, to wisdom. And through that discipline, he rose from the prison to the palace, becoming second only to Pharaoh and all of Egypt. You see, discipline is not dependent on your circumstances. It's a choice you make regardless of your situation. It's deciding that no matter what life throws at you, you will remain committed to your purpose, to your growth, to your divine calling. What this looks like in practical terms. How do we cultivate this discipline in ourselves? First and foremost, discipline begins with vision. You must have a clear picture of where you're going, of who you're becoming. Without vision, discipline has no direction. It's like trying to steer a ship without a destination. You might be moving, but you're not really going anywhere. What is your vision? What is the future that God has placed in your heart? Don't limit yourself to what seems possible. Dream big, dream God-sized dreams. Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Once you have that vision, discipline becomes the daily commitment to align your actions with that future. It's waking up every morning and asking yourself, what can I do today to move closer to my God-given destiny? This is where many of us falter. We have the vision, we have the dreams, but we lack the daily discipline to turn those dreams into reality. We allow our feelings, our moods, our circumstances to dictate our actions. But true discipline rises above feelings. It's not about how you feel, it's about what needs to be done. I remember a time in my own life when I was struggling with this very issue. I had a vision of writing books that would impact millions of lives around the world. But every time I sat down to write, I felt inadequate. I felt like I didn't have anything valuable to say. I felt like giving up. But in that moment, I had to make a choice. I had to choose discipline over feelings. I had to choose purpose over comfort. And so day after day, I disciplined myself to write, whether I felt like it or not. Whether the words flowed easily or whether each sentence was a struggle. I committed to the process, trusting that God would use my discipline to fulfill his purpose. And you know what? He did. Those books that I struggled to write have now been translated into dozens of languages, impacting lives in ways I never could have imagined. Not because I'm special, not because I'm more talented than anyone else, but because I chose discipline. I chose to align my daily actions with the vision God had given me. This is the power of discipline. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's choosing the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. Discipline is not easy. If it were, everyone would be living out their full potential. Discipline requires sacrifice. It demands that you give up the good to gain the best. It asks you to trade immediate gratification for long-term fulfillment. It gets easier with practice. Just like a muscle that grows stronger with exercise, your capacity for discipline increases the more you use it. What seems impossible today becomes manageable tomorrow and easy next week. The first time you try to run a mile, it might feel like torture. Your lungs burn, your legs ache, and every fiber of your being screams at you to stop. But if you discipline yourself to run that mile every day, what happens? Gradually, almost imperceptibly, it becomes easier. Your body adapts, your endurance increases. And before you know it, that mile that once seemed impossible is now just a warm-up for a longer run. The same principle applies to every area of your life. Whether it's in your spiritual walk, your relationships, your career, or your personal growth, consistent discipline leads to exponential growth. You have to start. You have to take that first step, make that first decision to choose discipline over comfort. And then you have to do it again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. This is where many of us falter. We start strong, full of enthusiasm and determination. But when the initial excitement wears off, when the journey gets tough, we lose our motivation. We fall back into old habits, old patterns of thinking and behaving. But I'm here to tell you that motivation is overrated. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the tide. Discipline, on the other hand, is constant. It's the anchor that keeps you steady when the storms of life rage around you. Success is not about feeling motivated all the time. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. It's about showing up day after day, committed to your vision, your purpose, your calling. Let me share a secret with you. The most successful people in the world, the ones who have made the biggest impact, are not always motivated. They're disciplined. They've trained themselves to act in alignment with their goals, regardless of how they feel in the moment. Do you think Martin Luther King Jr. always felt motivated to fight for civil rights? Do you think Mother Teresa always felt inspired to serve the poorest of the poor? Do you think Jesus always felt emotionally ready to face the cross? No. These great individuals changed the world not because they always felt like it, but because they disciplined themselves to act in accordance with their calling, especially when it was difficult. This is the level of discipline I'm calling you to today. A discipline that transcends feelings, that rises above circumstances, that pushes through obstacles. Now, some of you might be thinking, isn't this kind of discipline restrictive? Doesn't it limit my freedom? I'm glad you asked, because this brings me to one of the most profound truths about discipline. True discipline doesn't restrict your freedom, it expands it. Let me explain. When you lack discipline, you become a slave to your impulses, your emotions, your circumstances. You react to life instead of creating it. You're tossed about by every wind of change, every fleeting desire, every momentary discomfort. But when you embrace discipline, you take control of your life. You become proactive rather than reactive. You shape your circumstances instead of being shaped by them. This, my friends, is true freedom. Think about a professional athlete. They subject themselves to rigorous training regimens, strict diets, and demanding schedules. To an outsider, this might look like a loss of freedom. But in reality, this discipline gives them the freedom to perform at the highest level, to achieve things that seem superhuman to the rest of us. or consider a virtuoso musician. The hours of practice, the repetition of scales and exercises might seem monotonous and restrictive, but it's this very discipline that gives them the freedom to create beautiful music, to express themselves in ways that touch the hearts of millions. The same principle applies to your life. When you discipline yourself in your finances, you gain the freedom from financial stress. When you discipline yourself in your health, you gain the freedom to live life to the fullest. When you discipline yourself in your relationships, you gain the freedom of deep, meaningful connections. Discipline is not about limiting yourself. It's about focusing yourself. It's about channeling your energy, your talents, your resources towards what truly matters. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, the version that God intended when He created you. How to cultivate this kind of discipline in your life. Because knowing about discipline is one thing. Living it out is another. The first step is to clearly define your purpose. What has God called you to do? What are the dreams and visions He's placed in your heart? Write them down. Make them concrete. Because discipline without direction is just busy work. Next, break down that big vision into actionable steps. What do you need to do daily, weekly, monthly to move towards your goal? Be specific. Be realistic. Remember, discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistent progress. Then create systems and routines that support your goals. If you want to write a book, set aside a specific time each day for writing. If you want to improve your health, plan your meals and workouts in advance. The key is to remove as much decision making as possible from your daily routine, because every decision requires willpower, and willpower is a finite resource. Now, here's where many people go wrong. They try to change everything at once. They make grand plans and set ambitious goals only to burn out within a few weeks. Don't fall into this trap. Start small. Focus on one or two key areas of discipline at a time. Master those, make them habitual, and then move on to the next. Remember, discipline is like a muscle. You wouldn't walk into a gym and try to lift the heaviest weights on your first day. You'd start with what you can manage and gradually increase the weight as you get stronger. The same principle applies to discipline. Another crucial aspect of discipline is accountability. Find someone who can hold you to your commitments, someone who will encourage you when you're struggling and celebrate with you when you succeed. This could be a mentor, a coach, a trusted friend, or a spouse. The key is to have someone who understands your vision and is committed to seeing you achieve it. Failure. Because if you're pursuing discipline, if you're striving for growth, you will fail. You will have days when you fall short, when you give in to temptation, when you choose comfort over progress. Failure is not the opposite of discipline. Giving up is. Discipline is not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. It's about learning from your mistakes, adjusting your approach, and recommitting to your goals. In fact, I would argue that how you handle failure is one of the greatest tests of your discipline. It's easy to stay committed when everything is going well. The true test comes when you face setbacks, when you encounter obstacles, when you fall short of your own expectations. This is where many people quit. They use failure as an excuse to give up on their dreams, to retreat back into their comfort zones. But the disciplined individual sees failure differently. They see it as feedback, as a learning opportunity, as a stepping stone to success. I'm reminded of the story of Thomas Edison. When asked about his many failed attempts to create the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This, my friends, is the mindset of a disciplined individual. They don't let failure define them, they let it refine them. So when you fail, and you will fail, don't beat yourself up. Don't use it as an excuse to quit. Instead, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust my approach? How can I use this experience to become better, stronger, more disciplined? The role of faith in discipline. Because true discipline, the kind that transforms lives and changes the world, is not just a matter of willpower. It's a spiritual discipline. When you commit to discipline, you're not just relying on your own strength. You're tapping into the power of the Almighty God. You're aligning yourself with His purpose for your life. And when you do that, you unlock a source of strength that goes beyond human understanding. This is why prayer and meditation are such crucial components of discipline. They're not just religious rituals, they're spiritual disciplines that renew your mind, refocus your priorities, and reconnect you with your source of strength. When you start your day in prayer, when you meditate on God's word, you're setting the tone for the rest of your day. You're reminding yourself of who you are and whose you are. You're reaffirming your commitment to your purpose, to your calling, to your discipline. But it's not just about starting your day.
Right.
It's about staying connected to God throughout your day. It's about seeing every task, every interaction, every decision as an opportunity to glorify Him. This perspective transforms discipline from a burdensome chore into a joyful act of worship. Remember, discipline is not about proving your worth or earning God's love. You already have His love. You're already valuable in His eyes. Discipline is about becoming who He created you to be. It's about stewardship, making the most of the gifts, talents, and opportunities He's given you. I want you to take a hard look at your life. Are there areas where you have been lacking discipline? Are there dreams you have put on hold because they seem too difficult? Are there habits you know you need to change but haven't found the strength to do so? I want you to identify one area, just one, where you can start implementing greater discipline. Maybe it's in your spiritual life, committing to daily prayer and Bible study. Maybe it's in your health, choosing to exercise regularly and eat nutritiously. Maybe it's in your relationships, making time each day to truly connect with your loved ones. Whatever it is, I want you to commit to it right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. Because discipline delayed is discipline denied. And as you make this commitment, I want you to remember that you're not alone in this journey. The God who created you, who placed that dream in your heart, who called you to greatness, He is with you every step of the way. He's not just watching from afar. He's actively involved in your growth, in your discipline, in your transformation. Imagine for a moment that you're an athlete training for the Olympics. You have got the best coach in the world working with you day in and day out. This coach knows your potential, understands your weaknesses, and has a perfect plan to get you to the gold medal. Would you ignore that coach's instructions? Would you skip training sessions? Of course not. You'd hang on every word, follow every instruction, push through every difficult workout. Well, my friends, you have something far better than an Olympic coach. You have the creator of the universe, the author of life, the King of Kings, personally invested in your success. He's not just cheering you on from the sidelines. He's right there with you, guiding you, strengthening you, disciplining you. But here's the catch, and this is crucial. God won't force His plan on you. He respects your free will. He's given you the ability to choose. And that's where discipline comes in. Discipline is your way of saying yes to God's plan for your life. It's your daily decision to align yourself with His purpose, to submit to His training, to trust His process. This doesn't mean the journey will be easy. Discipline by its very nature is challenging. It will stretch you. It will push you out of your comfort zone. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the temptation to return to old habits seems overwhelming. But in those moments, I want you to remember why you started. Remember the vision God gave you. Remember the potential He sees in you. Remember the impact your disciplined life can have on the world around you. Your discipline isn't just about you, it's about the ripple effect your life can have. When you choose discipline, when you live with purpose and intentionality, you become a living testimony. You inspire others to reach for their own potential. You become a catalyst for change in your family, your community, your nation. Think about the great men and women of faith throughout history. Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. Esther risking her life to save her people. Paul enduring persecution to spread the gospel. These individuals changed the course of history not because they were perfect, but because they were disciplined. They remained committed to their calling even when it was difficult, even when it seemed impossible. You have that same potential within you. The same God who worked through them is working through you. But He can only work with what you give Him. He can only use the parts of your life that you surrender to His discipline. What areas of your life are you holding back? What aspects of your character, your time, your resources have you not fully surrendered to God's disciplining hand? Because here's the truth, partial obedience is still disobedience. Half-hearted discipline is still indiscipline. God is calling you to full surrender, to complete discipline. He's inviting you to trust him not just with the easy parts of your life, but with the difficult parts too. Not just with your strengths, but with your weaknesses. Not just with your successes, but with your failures. This kind of surrender, this level of discipline requires courage. It requires faith. Because when you fully surrender to God's discipline, you're admitting that his ways are higher than your ways. That his thoughts are higher than your thoughts. You're acknowledging that he knows better than you do what's best for your life. But let me assure you, this surrender is worth it. Because on the other side of surrender is freedom. On the other side of discipline is destiny. On the other side of obedience is blessing. I want you to create a discipline declaration. This is a personal statement of commitment. A contract between you and God, outlining the areas where you're committing to greater discipline. Start by identifying 3 key areas of your life where you need more discipline. Maybe it's in your spiritual life, your physical health, your relationships, your finances, or your personal growth. Write these down. Next, for each area, define what discipline looks like practically. Be specific. If it's your spiritual life, maybe it's committing to 30 minutes of prayer and Bible study each morning. If it's your health, perhaps it's exercising for 45 minutes 5 times a week and cutting out processed foods. Then write down why this discipline is important to you. Connect it to your bigger purpose, to the vision God has given you. This why will be your anchor when discipline gets tough. Finally, write a prayer of commitment, asking God for the strength and grace to follow through on your discipline declaration. Remember, you're not doing this in your own strength. You're partnering with the Almighty God. Once you have created this discipline declaration, I want you to put it somewhere you will see it every day. Read it out loud each morning. Let it be a daily reminder of your commitment to growth, to excellence, to becoming all that God has called you to be. Discipline is not a destination. It's a lifelong journey. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about constant progress. It's not about never failing. It's about always getting back up. There will be days when you fall short. There will be times when you stumble. But in those moments, don't beat yourself up. Don't let guilt or shame derail your progress. Instead, remind yourself of God's grace. His mercies are new every morning. Each day is a fresh opportunity to recommit to your discipline, to realign with your purpose, to step further into your destiny. As you leave here today, I want you to walk out with a new perspective on discipline. I want you to see it not as a burden, but as a blessing. Not as a restriction, but as a pathway to freedom. Not as a punishment, but as a privilege. Because when you embrace discipline, you're embracing the process of becoming. You're saying yes to growth, yes to transformation, yes to the incredible plan God has for your life. You're positioning yourself to receive all that He has in store for you.